It is Friday, the end of a long week in the Cactus League, but today is all about the infielders. It is time for a preview of the infield unit for your Brewers in the 2022 season. Don't go anywhere. You're Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. We are at the weekend, everybody. I'm Dominic Cotroneo with Vinny Rottino. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. This is Locked On Brewers, your only daily podcast dedicated to your Milwaukee Brewers, as we are less than 2 weeks away now, Vinny, from opening day 2022, where the Brewers will be taking on the Cubs down at Wrigley. Spring training is rolling along, and we got a big weekend ahead of us of games. No more off days. It's go time now. You're going to start to figure out a lot about your team in these next couple of weeks, and it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly the season is coming upon us. I'm ready to go. I think the players are even showing that they're ready to go, even though obviously it takes a little bit of time for the pitchers to get built up. But this is an exciting time of the season. And I think it's going to be an exciting ramp up to the season because sometimes spring training can get stale. I actually like this abbreviated version of spring training. I wonder if they're going to continue that going forward, because I definitely think it can get stale. I know that you've experienced that as well as on the broadcast side of things. So, a couple of weeks away. That's all they need. We're ready. They're ready.
Bubble wrap.
Let's get this season going. Bubble wrap it. Love it.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about the infielders today, as you could tell by the title. We've been doing these core breakdowns. So last week we did the relievers. The week before that, when we were still technically in a lockout, we did the starters. So today we're doing the infielders. And this is assuming Luis Rias is going to be playing the majority of the season, obviously. So we're going to talk a lot about We're going to talk about the infield unit as it stands right now. And then also we're going to talk about Future Friday. The end of our show will be about the new MLB Pipeline Top 30 that was released for your Milwaukee Brewers. There was a new number one prospect in the org, according to MLB.com. We'll get to that a little bit later. But before we get into the infielders, let's just quickly talk about yesterday's game in the Cactus League. The Diamondbacks came over to take on the Brewers at American Family Fields of Phoenix. Brandon Woodruff had the start. He admitted he wasn't as sharp as he would have liked. He gave up 5 runs in the contest. Brewers lost 10-3 for those that really matter about the score. He gave up 4 runs in the contest, I beg your pardon, but 6 hits, only 2 strikeouts for Woodruff. He was working on a few things. Hey, he went 3 innings. No one's really going to hit the panic button. Offensively, there wasn't much to talk about, but bullpen-wise, Josh Hader, I mean, the dude's ready to go. He struck out the side again against the Diamondbacks. Also, Jake Cousins had a pair of strikeouts. I mean, the bullpen's looking really good, but anything that you take away from yesterday's game?
So Woodruff, I just want to comment on him really quick. Just so that the fans understand, like, it's easy to hit in Arizona in that really dry, thin air. So, I mean, at times you make a mistake, fly ball goes out of the ballpark, although Josh Rojas absolutely hit a screamer out of the ballpark.
That's my guy,
today
Josh
against
Rojas,
Woodruff.
too. Shout out to Litchfield Park, Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great swing that he put on a ball that was middle center cut. And Woodruff, I saw on that particular pitch was like 94 when it kind of flashed on the scoreboard. So he's usually in that 96, 98 range. That's when his fastball is most effective. But, nothing to panic about, like you said, with him. He looked like his delivery was clean. It looked like it was sharp. Everything was kind of clicking as far as the rhythm of everything. So, yeah, I mean, he's just getting his feet underneath him. And I'm sure he'll be continuing to be sharp, as he ramps up to the season. How about Hinson's knuckleball? I don't know if you caught that. We'll see if that's a real thing. I don't know if it is or not, but JT Hinson came in for 1/3 of an inning and started throwing knuckleballs. It looked like Omar Narvaez having a hard time catching it. And then, Josh Hader, it's just so fun to watch. I mean, it's absolutely fans, take note of what he's doing every time that he toes the rubber, because we're probably watching someone that's going to end up in the Hall of Fame just with how dominant he has been. But yeah, that's pretty much my takeaways from the game. The team looks sharp. They look, again, that they're just kind of ramping up, getting ready for the season.
So as far as the way things go with bullpens and things to figure out with the pitching staff, even Craig Counsell said it after the game today, saying, look, there's still things to figure out. There's still things we're looking for out of these guys. I mean, Suter didn't have his best day, but he went back out, right? That's a big hurdle for some relievers during spring training of get 1 inning, sit down on the dugout, then go back out for a second inning. That's a big part of his role. And for Hader, the next step for him would be doing a back-to-back down here in spring training to make sure he's ready for the season. So that's some of the things that they'll be looking forward to coming up in the coming weeks.
For sure, yeah, some of those things, and then obviously they're going to get a ton of at-bats, or they're going to try to anyway, for all the guys that are going to be bench players, because especially with the American League rules, you have to understand now that players aren't going to necessarily pinch hit as much as they would or play defense as much as they would if we were playing in the National League. So that is something where American League players really do get their at-bats a lot in spring training. So watch for guys like Mike Brosseau to really kind of ramp up his at-bats and maybe even face a lot more nasty righties coming out of the pen, because in the season he's not going to have to do that unless the game is on the line at times, right, with the matchups that opposing managers kind of set up. So that's something to look for. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you're just kind of get ready for the season, all those different nuances. You're going to try and figure those out.
Now, let's start to segue into our infielders here. Mike Brosseau did start the game at shortstop. By the way, John Singleton went yard yesterday, too, so that's fun to watch. He's not going to make the big league club, obviously, but Brosseau is a good place to start as we begin our infielders breakdown here for the 2022 season. Folks may forget that Mike Brosseau was acquired this past offseason from the Tampa Bay Rays. Brosseau can literally play all over the infield. He has now started in 4 games in Cactus League play at 4 different positions. During his time in Tampa Bay, he played all over as well. He's got 62 games in his career at second, 52 games at third, 23 games at first. He's even got 16 games in the outfield, the least of which is shortstop, which he started today. But he's a guy that's going to be, Jace Peterson 2.0 as far as with the glove. Probably can't crown him with that offensively, but it's a great tool, a little Swiss Army knife, another one for Craig Counsell's bench for the upcoming season.
Yeah, Stearns and Company does a great job of acquiring these guys because they know that the more of these guys that they have, and these types of players also are typically kind of got the label on them of being ball players, quote unquote, and these guys are cut out of the same mold as like a Justin Turner. Now, I know that is, going out on a limb and saying that this guy or one of these guys is going to turn into Justin Turner, but they might, right? It's the same bet you're making. They don't punch out much, and they're ball players. They can play all around the field. So you acquire more of these guys, the more of these dudes are going to turn into legitimate major league everyday players, just like a Jace Peterson. You make a couple adjustments. I love how short his swing is. It's just a very compact swing. He reminds me a lot of, and Brewer fans, kind of older Brewer fans he's going to remind them of Trent Durrington, the Aussie from down under. So I know Durrell played for the A's, did he not?
Yes, he did briefly.
You probably have some history with him as well. So, but that's kind of who he reminds me of with his swing, how short it is. But I like Brosseau a lot. I would like to see him kind of play a little bit more shortstop, to be honest, just because, especially with Wisho kind of on the shelf to start the season, and especially with it being a soft tissue injury, it's a little concerning as far as who's going to back up shortstop when Willy Adames needs a day. So we'll see if Brosseau can fill that spot as well.
And reminder, Brosseau was a bench bat as well in Tampa Bay, so he's used to this role. His first 2 years in the league were fantastic, coming off that bench, hitting .273 in 19. In the shortened season, he hit .302 in 36 games. You may recall Brosseau went yard off of Aroldis Chapman in the playoffs to help send the Rays to the World Series that season. That was epic home run for him. In fact, BA had the call for that too, by the way. But he had a great year in 2020. Did not quite have the same year in 2021. He was acquired for a minor league reliever, Evan Reifert. I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly, this past November. So that was all done before the lockout, in case you forgot. That also leads us straight into another utility player, on base Jace. I mean, this dude was the perfect plug and play for Craig Counsell all of last season. Literally played every position at least 1 inning except for catcher and center field. Think about that. He played literally at least one inning in every position except catcher and center field. He even pitched. I mean, on-base Jace set a new second highest on-base percentage, but it was his highest for a full season at 348 last year, and that's not playing every day. Vinny, how hard is that to have an almost 350 on base when you're not playing every day?
It's hard, especially with the stuff that's coming out of these opposing pitching staffs. You know, it's nasty. These guys that are coming out of the pen throwing 100, everyone throws 100 now, it seems like, with disgusting sliders. And then even the starters, and it's a grip it and rip it type of mentality. It's very difficult. You know, believe it or not, those guys are the hardest ones to have. Even though they're all over the place sometimes, those guys are hard to have a really good at-bat against, because you just kind of you don't know where the ball's going. You have to protect the plate, make earlier swing decisions, because all these guys are throwing so hard. And especially if you're not in a good rhythm, if you're not playing every day, it's so difficult. So, you know, hat tip to Jace. He's been around a long time. He's really made some impressive adjustments to his game. He's like a mid 600 career OPS guy. Now he's in the 800s, and I think he's going to continue that. And they're going to deploy him in spots where they know that he's going to succeed as well, and they do a great job of that. Craig Counsell does a great job of that, and he relies on his analytics team as well to do that and how to understand how to deploy these guys in the lineup. And Jace is going to just continue to do what he did. And he's going to hit some home runs. He's going to get on base. He's going to drive the ball the other way. He's going to play good defense, solid defense everywhere they put him. I mean, he came up as a shortstop too. So he is actually, I think, a legitimate option there. And then he gets good jumps in the outfield. He's fast. He's athletic. He's strong as can be. Rock said on the telecast 2 days ago that this dude is actually really put together. He's big, he's tall. You've been around him since you're out there, and he's an impressive athlete first and foremost, and then he's got all the skills to go on top of it. And he's don't forget, this dude was DFA'd last year as well. Any team could have had him, and the Brewers were lucky enough to keep him. He made the adjustments, and now he's off and running. So it's a great piece to this team.
He's in his last year of arbitration. He is due to be a free agent next year. They avoided arbitration with him for $1.8 million heading into this season. He's 32 years old now. It's just a great role player. Shout out to McNeese State in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I mean, it's a great story for him. You know, originally a first rounder by the San Diego Padres. He's bounced around. He's been a nomad in the league, but he has served huge, important roles in National League for both the Padres, the Braves, and now the Brewers here on their team. It's really fun to watch a guy like him make it in the big leagues.
Yeah, it is. It's a great story, like you said, and you root for guys like this. And he's a team leader as well. He just adds to that winning culture. He adds to that leadership culture that the Brewers have all, up and down their roster. And so he's a great piece. He understands the game. He knows how to take the younger players under his wing, sets a great example for the younger guys as well. And don't forget, he's a great base runner. He made a bunch of really, really smart base running plays last year. I can remember one where he tagged up from first base on an overthrow. I believe it was against the Rockies. They then had to bring the infield in. Luis Rias hit a double play ball if the infield was playing back and it got through for a game winner. Like, those are the little things that don't necessarily show up in the box score that a guy like Jace Peterson continues to kind of add to the team.
All right, before we get to the rest of our infield breakdown, we're going to tell you about our friends at Built Bar. Of course, you've heard us talk about them all year long. They're one of our presenting sponsors. And Built Bar, they're not just protein bars. They've got these awesome little protein-infused marshmallows, the first of their kind, with their own specific flavors. You've got cinnamon churro, you've got coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. These are going to be your new favorite. They're awesome. But if the puffs aren't your thing, the Built Bars are just as phenomenal. Low calories, high protein. You can replace candy bars with Built Bars, and you're going to feel so much better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories, whereas Built Bars are just 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. I mean, it's not even a comparison versus the candy bar, and yet maybe the Built Bar might actually taste better. They're all about taste at Built Bar. They make it delicious first, and then figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how they do it. They are actually fantastic Built Bars. I brought some out to the golf course the other day down here in Phoenix. A great little mid-round pick-me-up. You can try it out yourself, too, at Built.com. That's BUILT.com, and you can use our promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Again, Built.com, promo code's LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order at Built. So let's talk about the actual projected starting infield here for the Brewers, of course. Let's start at first base. It's been a hot topic all season long. What are they going to do at first base? And it's clear, I mean, even Craig Counsell has said it. It is Rowdy Tellez's job at first base. John Singleton's not going to make the team. Tyler White is not going to make the team. They're on minor league deals. This is Rowdy Tellez's year to be an everyday player. And I know you're a huge fan of Rowdy Tellez, and a lot of folks around the game, not just yourself, a lot of folks have been asking, can we see this guy every day? And this might be his year to do it.
It is. Yeah, no, I'm so glad to hear Craig Counsell say that, because that gives the player some comfort. It gives the player some confidence that, hey, this is my job. And I think he's ready, right? I mean, he had a great at-bat last night, hit a screaming double against, I think that was Tyler Malley. He hit a screaming double into the gap right center. That was 2 nights ago. It's a short, compact stroke for a big dude. This guy is large. And he's a better athlete than you think. He's in short spaces, right? I mean, he's not going to be a runner, but he's a smooth mover out there at first base. He turned a phenomenal. It was a double play. He stepped on the bag. It was the 3-6, and then they got the runner in a little bit of a pickle there and got him out to end the inning. A run did score. This was against the Reds again 2 nights ago, but it's an accurate arm. He can really pick the baseball. It gives some reliability to your defenders. Believe it or not, like when you have a guy that can pick it over there, I remember guys like Derek Lee, like Mark Grace saving errors for their infielders, obviously, in saving outs for their pitchers and runs for the pitchers as well. Not earned runs, obviously, if they're an overthrow or in the dirt or whatever. But this guy just provides that. First base is such an important position, and he plays it really, really well. And again, I think he can hit. I really am a believer in this bat. He can hit. He can hit to all fields. He can hit for power. Obviously, the power is always going to be there, and it's not this lofty type all or nothing swing. He battles with 2 strikes. It's a hitter first with tremendous power. So I'm excited for Rowdy Tellez to get that chance to be in the middle of the order for the Brewers all year long.
And to your point about first base, he's actually a trained, big league first baseman. He's always been a first baseman, whereas we've seen in previous years, the Brewers will throw somebody there and hope he can learn the position on the fly. No, Rowdy's going to make things a lot calmer over there at first base, as opposed to, with all due respect to a guy like Keston Hiura. And I know Travis Shaw has played corner infield, but he's more of a third baseman than he is a first baseman. So it's an actual first baseman. The first time in the last couple of years, it's really since like Eric Thames, you can even argue too. And even Eric is like more of a left fielder, if you can really argue it too. But to the numbers with the offense, the last time he had the chance to play this many games was back in 2019. And remember, 2019 was the year of the juiced baseball, so take that with a grain of salt. He played 111 games. He hit 21 homers. He, despite a low batting average, he had a 742 OPS. Then he had a good shortened season in 2020. Granted, it's a short season. And then this year, he plays in 106 games and starts to click, especially with the Brewers. But I think what's most important, we've talked about it before, his lefty-righty splits. Against lefties, he handles them. He's hit 276 last season against lefties. He hit 2 homers off of them, including one against the Pirates in a clutch situation, a pinch hit home run off of a lefty last season. I'm really excited to see him, and we can go on and on and on about Rowdy Tellez, it feels like.
Yeah, we can. And here's a couple of things I think that the Brewers identified before they acquired him. One, he was behind Vlad Guerrero Jr., right? So he really didn't have a place to play first base. I mean, he could have DH'd, but I think they had Teoscar Hernandez. Who did they deploy at DH?
Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar Hernandez was playing DH for them and hitting a bunch of homers. So he was blocked, number one. Number two, they identified the fact that he was too patient at the plate. And kudos to whoever found that out, right? And so what they did was they told him to get more aggressive in the zone. They said, you have a great eye. You can tell. You have great ability to, discern strike from ball. So don't worry about, swinging at bad pitches. Go ahead and attack. Trust yourself enough to have an attack first mindset and then take balls if they're balls out of the zone. We believe in you to do that. And that's what he did, and that's why he took off once he got a chance to play every day. I looked at these numbers a lot. I believe it was July 23rd was when he started to play every day. It was against the the White Sox series is when he really got a chance to play every day. And then from that point on till when he got hurt, when he pulled that, was it a hamstring rounding third base, I believe, in September, the Brewers were a top three offense in that stretch in the big leagues. Right, he provided that presence. He was raking at that time as well. So
he had 281 in that stretch.
He really does. He really does provide that presence in the middle of the lineup, and stay healthy. Obviously, continue to do what he's doing. Be aggressive in the zone, and he's going to really anchor this lineup, I think.
So let's go over to second base now. Let's talk about Kolten Wong. We talked about him a lot on the Mailbag Monday, of course, when it was asked about, hey, what do you do with Kolten Wong? Is this his last year? No, there's a team option next year. So I would encourage folks to listen back to that on Monday because we might find ourselves repeating ourselves here. We won't spend as long on Kolten as we did because we talked about him for a whole segment really on Monday. Look, this dude is everything the Brewers had hoped for and more. He could have won the Gold Glove last year if he was healthy for the whole year. I will firmly believe that. He played 116 games last year. Yes, he had an oblique issue, but he caught it early, and he still got to play 116 games. Career high in slugging, a 272 average. He's got dad strength now. He's got 14 homers. He is your leadoff man, and he is your everyday second baseman in Sharpie. It's so hard to find guys to put in Sharpie, and Kolten Wong, leading off and playing second base, is Craig Counsell Sharpie.
Yeah, I mean, and talk about reliability, he's not necessarily a lineup anchor, but he's a stabilizer kind of, right? I mean, he's going to get on base, he's going to provide a really good at-bat, and then he's going to juice a home run every once in a while when the pitchers get lazy and say, okay, I'm just going to lay in a first-pitch fastball. He's shown the ability now to turn, especially on that up-and-in pitch that we talked about, shown the ability to turn on that, a couple of adjustments that he made. Doesn't hit with dead hands as much anymore. He's keeping those hands moving, and then bam, he's got such quick hands and super short arms. That's an advantage actually as a hitter to get those pitchers out of there. And then just the defense for me. It is such a reliable feeling for the pitcher, for the catcher, for the entire team to know that you have someone like Kolten Wong playing second base when that chopper over the mound, which – everybody on the field is like, just be an out, please. We don't need a chopper on the mound starting a big inning for the other team. And that's what those choppers over the mound do. It's a terrible feeling when those terrible hits are hits when there's not an out recorded. Kolten Wong did it the other day. Backhand up the middle. Perfect throw on the money, running the other way. He's just a master at that play and then every other play that he has to make, ranging to all different directions. So, I mean, there's just so much reliability to him on both sides, offensively and defensively, and that's what I love so much about Kolten Wong.
He's great. Can't wait to see another year of him and hopefully 2 more years for Brewers fans. He's just a great veteran presence in that clubhouse and knows how to get it done. Let's go to Luis Rias, and then we'll wrap things up with Willy Adames for the infielders segment. Look, Huicho's probably not going to be ready for opening day. Let's just get that out of the way right now. There's no need to push him for opening day. You're going to make sure he's healthy with a soft tissue issue with his left quad injury that he sustained last week here in the Cactus League. So you're going to make sure he's ready. But once he's ready, man, what a year for Huicho last year. 150 games, that's a career high. 249 average, 345 on base, 445 slugging, 789 OPS, all of those career highs in his age 24 season. 23 bombs. 23 bombs. And he's just, look, you've stood next to Huicho. He's 5'9" and every bit of 5'9". And yet he put on good weight this offseason. I can't wait to see him healthy this year because, man, he's really starting to come into his own, getting more comfortable in the big leagues. We know that Willy Adames really stabled things for him. But what do you think is what is to come for Huicho this season when he's healthy?
Yeah, this guy is an exciting player from the standpoint of, again, So the Brewers have done a phenomenal job of kind of tweaking a couple things here and there with some of these guys, and Luis Rias is one of them. He was totally closed off to his when he made his stride in the load phase of the swing. He would totally close himself off, and then he would kind of chop down on the baseball. His contact point would be super deep. He had a ton of terrible soft hit ground balls that were outs in 2020 and even in 2019. And what they did was they squared him up a little bit, and basically watch what Alex Bregman did, the adjustments that Alex Bregman has made as a Houston Astro and since he took off. I'm not saying he's Alex Bregman. I'm just saying it's a similar type of adjustment, and it's a similar type of skill set for that matter. It's contact. It's a phenomenal eye. He never chases balls out of the zone. And then it's get the head out when he can pull a homer, and he showed that 23 times. I think all of his home runs were to the pull side. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think a couple is straight away, but yes, most of them to pull side.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm not saying he's going to be Alex Bregman. I'm just saying that this guy is going to continue to take steps. And now, like you said, he's got a little bit more man strength to him as well. Let's get that quad healthy and see what he can really do and how he can produce for this team.
And he could be the new Cub killer, by the way. He had nearly a 1,200 OPS last year against the Cubs. 5 of his homers came against the Cubs. 356 average. He likes seeing those blue pinstripes, I guess.
Yeah, he does. And I'm pinpointing that series where he had the 5 hits against the Cubs. I know one of them at least was against the position player, a home run.
Yeah, the second homer, he had 5 extra base hits in that game.
Unbelievable game, right? But I kind of pinpoint when the changes that he was making and those adjustments that he was making on the fly at the big league level, which I can't even tell you how hard that is, and he was able to do that. Those changes kind of really took hold. You could see up at the plate, he was really seeing the baseball. He was really seeing off-speed pitches and kind of keeping his hands back a little bit, pressing into the ground a little bit with his lower half to stay back with those hands, and then wham, he was putting on his A swing with a bunch of really good off-speed pitches, and that was the series that I kind of pinpoint as to when he started that. Again, where you start to feel comfortable as a player with some of the changes you make, that's a good feeling, and that's I'm looking for more of that from Wicho as soon as he gets healthy.
Fantastic. And by the way, for folks who haven't said it, I think I've said this earlier in an old episode, Wicho is Mexican slang for somebody named Luis. It's very common for somebody to be nicknamed Wicho. You know, it's like it's just a normal nickname. Like another one is Checo for anybody named Sergio. So it's just something to keep in mind that when we say Wicho, we're referring to Luis Urias because it's a Mexican nickname. Okay, so let's get to his big brother on the team, the one that everybody loves, the top 20 MVP vote getter last season, by the way. He was 16th in MVP voting last year. Well-deserved Willy Adames. When he was traded by Tampa Bay to Milwaukee, we all know about what they took off. But remember, there were some skeptics, and there were very valid skeptics of like, wait, he's hitting 197 with a 625 OPS, and the Brewers just DFA'd Orlando Arcia. Why are we getting Willy Adames? And he responds with an 886 OPS in the 99 games after, with 20 homers in a Brewers uniform and some of the most clutch homers of the season, and the absolute spark plug of that clubhouse. And then it makes David Stearns, Matt Arnold, and everybody wear a crown on their heads to say, yeah, we went and got this guy because we saw this. What a year. What more can you say about Willy Adames?
You really can't say much more. I mean, he was the team MVP. He literally turned around the offense. If you look before the acquisition, the team was, I think, third to last in runs per game. You look after the acquisition, the team was 8th in the league in runs per game. And I have those stats memorized because it is so alarming that they were that much better with one guy. I know other guys got healthy as well. I know Keston Hiura went down to AAA because he was struggling so bad, et cetera, et cetera. But he was the straw that stirred that drink, with all due respect to Reggie Jackson, right? I mean, he really was. And It's interesting. I want to get your take on this, Dom, actually. It's interesting that some of the metrics say that he's going to regress a little bit. I'm a little bit skeptical of why they would say that. I think the changes that he made as well, he's a little bit more stacked and he's more direct to the baseball now. In Tampa, he was really swinging underwater, I thought. And again, he couldn't really see the ball at Tropicana either. But he's more direct and he's driving the ball to right field. And those types of changes are ones that usually take hold. So I'm curious to get your takes on the analytics of the regression.
Well, he generated 4.1 Fangraphs WAR last season. He's projected to be a 3.1 WAR player for 2022. Zips has him as a 3.2 WAR player, better defensively, of course. I think part of that has to do with his pretty high strikeout rate. Yes, it went down year over year versus 2020, but the fact that he still has a 28% strikeout rate isn't great, but that's just his game also. At the same time, too, he still had pretty bad splits on the road versus at home. I mean, I know he saw the ball better at American Family Field as opposed to the Trop, but it still wasn't great. I mean, it might have been dragged down overall by his season too, but he still hit 302 on the road last season. So that could be an alarming thing that the Zips see as well. So I don't think it's fair to say a guy's going to be exactly the same year over year, to say that he's going to be another 4 WAR player again, because that's nearly all-star level play. But I'm excited to see him in stability, right? Because Wander Franco was breathing down his neck all of last season while coming out of camp, knowing this guy is going to be the guy of the future. The Rays were talking about bringing this guy up this season, all this yada yada. That's gone. He is your guy. He is the shortstop. Mentally, that has to be so freeing for Willy.
Yeah, and think about this too. Milwaukee, right? It's a fun place to be, right? You've been living here now for about a year. It's a fun place to be. There's a ton of fans. The fans love their players. I know, not to say anything disparaging about Tampa Bay, but there was no fans that came to those games. Willy's a guy that kind of thrives on that energy from the fans, and the best fans in baseball that love to kind of have a party in the stands, but also watch really good baseball and love to be the knowledgeable fan as well. So I think that's part of it, believe it or not. So I'm looking for more of the same from Willy, and it's cool to see like a 25, 26-year-old guy is such a leader on this club. You just don't see that.
So let's get to our top 30 now. As we've wrapped up the infield, it should be a very, very potent unit again for the Brewers in 2022. It's a big episode. Hey, it's Friday. We're not going to have another episode till Monday, so you can sit back, relax, and tune into us. Before we get to our top 30 prospect segment of the show, let's talk about Bet Online, of course. College basketball is rolling along. We're headed to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games this weekend. You can see all the odds, contests, and player props at betonline.net, the number one source for all your sports betting needs and info. It's also your best spot for scores, podcasts, and news as well. Not just basketball. They've got futures on there, too, for baseball. You're your continued source for sports wagering info as well as live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. They've got something up there for who's going to hit the most homers this year in Major League Baseball, odds to make the playoffs, things like that. You can head to their website today or use your mobile device to get in on the trends and learn about the action at BetOnline, where the game starts. So we wrap up this mega episode, Vinny, with the new top 30 from MLB Pipeline for the prospects in the Brewers organization. They've been going through each team individually. They did the Central the other day. The new number one prospect in the Brewers organization, according to MLB.com, is friend of the podcast, Sal Frelick. So that's pretty cool. The 21-year-old first-round draft pick last year. We've seen him in a few games so far in the backfields and on the field. Sal Frelick is considered number one. Joey Weimer with a massive jump up to number 2, and he's into the top 100 now as well. And then Aaron Ashby at number 3. He'll fall off at some point this year, losing his prospect eligibility. And then Garrett Mitchell is number 4, and Bryce Terang is number 5. Initial first impressions when you hear that top 5.
I love the Joey Weimer jump. I love the Sal Frelick number 1 pick, although I would put Bryce Terang in that conversation. I'm just a huge fan of Bryce Terang. I'm such a believer. I tweeted out that soundbite of his the other day where he just kind of looked at the camera. I think Adam McCalvey got it. He just said, I just love this. I love baseball. I can't imagine doing anything else. And those are the types of guys that always get to their ceiling, in my opinion. And the kid is super talented. He's going to put on some strength, some man strength, and he's going to be a big leaguer for a long, long, long time. I think he's in that number one conversation. I have no problem with Frelick being number one. The things I haven't seen him play much. The things I've heard about him, he's probably number one. Ball player, that's all you hear. Ball player with talent, with ability to really hit. So that's a number one prospect to me for an organization. I love Joey Weimer as well. Ashby, I mean, the sky's the limit for this kid. So looking forward to him actually dropping off quickly here. So yeah, those are my initial impressions. How about you?
I like that the top five. I think it's a pretty good top five. I understand the Garrett Mitchell drop, given Sal's a first round pick, and he's obviously got a great ceiling, but we just want to see Garrett healthy, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. I imagine he'll go back to AA this season, get a full year under his belt in Biloxi, and then if he really hits his way up to AAA, he'll get to Nashville. But there's no rush for him right now, given how stacked the roster is at the big league level, given there's 5, maybe even 6 outfielders on the roster right now. You don't need to rush him to the big leagues this year. And I go a little bit further down. Ethan Small is ranked number 8. He should provide at some point in the big leagues this season. He was already optioned back down to the minor league camp. Ethan's going to be he's going to be the Ashby role of last year, where he's going to get called up at some point in the year when maybe an arm or two is feeling a little sore. They need somebody to fill the gap. Ethan Small is going to be that guy. He's another young lefty. He's 25 years old. Great deception. The changeup, I got to see it firsthand in the opener of Cactus League play. I mean, he made Trey Turner look silly on it. It's a really legit changeup. Now, it's not a Devin Williams like airbender type changeup, but you think it's a fastball until you're already swinging and the ball is still 5 feet away from you. It's such a great pitch. I noticed Ethan Small there at the 8 spot. I see the teenagers, Jackson Trujillo at number 10, Jefferson Caro at number 6, Eduardo Garcia, some of the new international prospects at number 13. Click around this list. There's a lot you can learn about this top 30. But the number one thing I learned about this, it's very, very young, as in guys are mostly in A-ball and high A-ball right now, or even, complex league. There's a lot of time for these guys to grow and mature because the window is wide open, so that in these next 3 years, as these guys grow through the system, wow, this could be something pretty special. I know they're pretty low in the talent rankings right now just because there's so much high-risk guys in this list.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. I think there are a couple of names that are going to emerge. Did I lose you, Dom?
Nope, I got you.
Okay, sorry about that. There are a couple of guys that I think are going to emerge this year that are going to really jump and maybe even find themselves in the top 100. I think Antoine Kelly is a name that fans need to kind of understand who he is. I mean, we're talking about kind of the David Price type of look. I'm not saying he's David Price. He was number 1 overall and made a lot of money in the big leagues and was very, very successful. I'm saying it's a similar look. It's a big, tall, strong, left-handed, hard-throwing starting pitcher with 3 pitches. So those guys usually take a little bit longer to kind of figure out their bodies and their deliveries, but once he does, he's going to be really, really good. So watch out for him. He's number 15 on that list. I thought that was a little low. And then Mario Feliciano. I love Mario. I think he's been looking great in spring training with his ability to kind of handle the staff at such a young age. He's only 23, and he's in AAA. So I know he had a rougher year last year. He needs to produce this year. I think he will. He had some injury stuff last year as well. So he's all the way down to 22. I thought that was a little bit low for him as well. But yeah, they have a bunch of young guys, and this is a big year for the system in order to kind of jump ahead, especially if the team wants to add some pieces. They're going to have some untouchables here on this list that they're not going to trade away. Sal Frelick's probably going to be one of those guys. Bryce Terang's probably going to be one of those guys, but they're gonna probably add at some point, and it's important that some of these prospects take a step at the beginning part of this season and all the way through the trade deadline, so the Brewers can really add, a winning piece to go for the World Series.
So go ahead and check out MLBpipeline.com to see the new top 30 for the Brewers. This has already been a mega episode, but hey, you got the whole weekend to listen to it, all right? We'll be back on Monday with our next episode. Indulge me for a moment, Vinny. Quick little bit of self-promotion. Today, the Brewers are playing the A's in Mesa at Ho Camp. If you don't already know, I'm actually the fill-in voice for the A's play-by-play on radio during spring training. And today, my dad and myself are going to be calling the game together. Ironic that it's against the Brewers, I know. But so I know you guys want to listen to Josh and Lane and everybody. I get that. But if you want to click over for a couple innings over on the A side, we would greatly appreciate it. That's my main job, play-by-play. That's what I want to do, and I'm just so grateful to do it. And I'm stoked to have the two teams that I know better than anybody on the same field together. So I'm very excited about that.
Dom, I'm going to be tuning in. Everybody really tune into Dom. He is ultra talented with the broadcast thing. And look, I just enjoy doing this show so much with you, Dom, and I'm going to be tuning in because I know how good you are at this play-by-play thing, and it's fun to listen to someone, especially now that I'm trying to break into the business a little bit. It's fun to listen to the broadcasters and understand how hard it is, for one, and two, when you really find someone that's talented, it's fun to listen to. So I'll be listening to you and your dad tomorrow for sure.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, it's not about us. It's about the guys in the field. We're just happy to be the vessel to bring you along. So tune in today. It's 3:05 Central Time, 1:05 Arizona time. Thanks so much, everybody listening. We'll see you back on Monday. Have a great weekend, Vinny. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.